Well, you know, your first journaling assignment is about the disapproval that Jesus' teaching met with, especially among Jewish leaders. And I'm wondering, why do you think that was the case? Now, the common people found him to be refreshing and wonderful. They followed him by the thousands. But the religious leaders rejected him, almost wholesale. Now, I can just throw a few thoughts out here. You know, one is that when you read the Old Testament, you have the idea that you have a prince, maybe a king, coming into town on this big white steed, and he's going to root out, you know, the Romans. He's going to get rid of the hand of the oppressive hand of the Romans. And yet Jesus didn't come that way. For one thing, he comes in to town on a donkey. He's a simple man. Isaiah 53 says that there's nothing special about him in appearance. His looks, he was a lot like most of us. You wouldn't have looked at his class picture and said, there he is. He's the one with the halo on his head. So I think that one of the reasons that they disapproved of him, his teachings, is they disapproved of him. Another thing is, you know, he didn't come through the temple. He doesn't spend much time in the temple. He spends his time out by the lake, out by the Sea of Galilee, out with his friends in the marketplace. So he didn't pay attention to them. He didn't come to them for approval. I think that's a pretty big thing too. And I think another thing was that so much of his teachings pointed a finger at their failures. You know, they were more on the outside, you know, what the hands did and where the eyes looked. They used to call them the bruised and bleeding Pharisees, because they said that when women would approach, that a Pharisee would close his eyes. Well, you get in trouble doing that. You walk into construction sites, you walk into, you know, telephone poles, but you walk into different structures. And so Jesus pointed a finger at them, and he had good reason to, because they're looking at the outside. Remember, he said, you are like a cup that is all clean on the outside, but the inside's all dirty. You're sort of like a grave full of dead men's bones, but at least the stone is polished. So, you know, that's what I'm looking for, this kind of a reflection on why it is that as you've read these scriptures, why it is that Jesus met with such disapproval, so much disapproval, they put him on a cross. So reflect on that, think about it. If you want to include any of the things that I've mentioned here today, that's just fine. But it's a big thing. It's a big issue. Why was Jesus rejected, in fact, to the point of death? Good luck on that.